Welcome. So glad to be here. Greetings to everyone today. We're happy you're here. We hope that so far you're having a great day. Today, I just want to say I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to serve you. And I'm grateful these beautiful ladies are here with me. I'm so excited about today talking about you were born with a purpose on purpose. And before we get started, I got to look in my mirror and I got to say that I am, got something on my lip. Okay. I got to say that I'm grateful uh, for life, health, and strength. There was a time I used to say, is life worth living? Why am I here? I don't know. I don't really have a purpose. But then I began to release all that, stop saying it, and begin to say, I'm glad I'm here and I do have a purpose. I have something for someone that's waiting on me. Can I tell you that someone is waiting on you today? Someone is in need of what you have to offer them. So we're glad that you're here. We pray and hope that something we say, and I don't even know why I'm saying that, because we're going to say something that's going to affect your life. That's a purpose. This is our purpose. And as we go forth today, I'm excited to have these two ladies with me. But before we do, can I say, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. And there's a quote that I found that I've been saying lately. If you live, your past don't need you, but your presence does. So I want you to get out the past, release the past, and let it go. The only thing your past is to do is to educate you, to show you how to do something differently, or maybe what not to do that you've done before. Whatever the case is, that's all it's there for. It's like a reminder, oh, I did this, I'm not going to do that again, or something along those lines. So I want you to be encouraged to get out your past. And if you're living in the future, you're anxious, worried about how I'm going to make it, how things is going to turn out, worried about, retirement, and you're not even near retirement. We're just worried about things that can be changed. And if you're living in today, the presence, you're living in the gift. That's where you have your breath, you have life. You don't even know whether how long you're gonna be here. So stop worried about the past. I mean the present or the future. Stop worried about the future and live in the now, because it's the now that will cause you to get to your present if that's where you're going. So I just want to encourage you today. Do not live past today. Embrace today. Live in the peace of the day and do all that you're called to do for today. Why? Because every day is a new assignment. It's a refreshing. And that the purpose of you waking up is not to be dreadful. It's not to be discouraged, but it's to allow you to realize that you have a gift, and your gift was to be here today. So we love you, and we love you just enough to say what we say every Sunday, and that is, what is it? A world without color is like as well as I know it. Yeah. Well, what we say is a life without me is like a world without color. That's what we say. And I want you to know, don't waste your life. Life is too good to be wasted. Your life is that valuable that you don't have time to sit around and waste it. So, good morning to some of my favorite people. I got a lot, and I don't want nobody to say, wait, I'm your favorite too. To my two, the ones that are here with me right now, to my two favorite people, they're here right here. My brother-in-law always says, whatever child is around, he says, my favorite nephew, or my favorite niece. Well, these two are with me today, and I'm saying it, but it's all true. They're two of my favorite people. I'm just so glad that they're here today. And Wanda, take a minute and greet the people.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wanda Floyd. I am the owner of WLF Academy and the Brains and Beauty Business Academy, where we teach beauty industry professionals and students how to do business better. I'm an educator, a trainer, I'm a mom, I do some things in ministry, and I am just so excited to be here. I can't wait. You know what? I'm always excited when Miss Alicia is here because just when she opens her mouth, just wisdom and knowledge just flows. So I'm like sitting here, I cannot wait. And I'm so happy to be here with you, Miss Leslie, and just for the lives that are getting ready to be changed within this 1 hour.
1 hour, amen. And Alicia, Miss Alicia. I'm so glad you're here. Look, she said Miss Alicia.
Miss Alicia,
Let me be,
okay.
let me be dignified, Miss Alicia. We're so glad that you here with us today. Take a moment and before you do that, Wanda, you have something coming up in September. You want to tell the people what you got
I
going on?
do. Oftentimes we are thriving and just making it. There are times that we are not really walking in our purpose, or we're just kind of doing it. So, I am having an event in September that is called Apply Pressure, and it is for the mind, body, and spirit. And we are going to do whatever is necessary. When you leave there, you're going to leave there with the mindset it's time for me to apply pressure. So the dates will be announced, the place that it will be held will be announced, but it will be available for everybody to view online as well. So I'm excited about
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay, so thank you. Alicia, come on and tell us about you and your community.
Okay. So is am I okay now, volume wise? You can hear me.
Yeah.
Everything's good. All right.
Hmm.
So I am Alicia Johnson, the creator of the 1212 community. And the 1212 community is the community that I needed when I was going through recalibrating my life. And so the 1212 community is dedicated to helping everyone to recalibrate their lives 12 hours for God and 12 hours for man. And so we do that in a myriad of ways of supporting you on that journey. We believe in dreams, dream interpretation, journaling, understanding the truth of who God has created you to be, and most of all, leaning into the fact that if you do not give up, God will not give up. So your recalibrated life is just 12 hours away.
I love it. Thank
That's
you
who
so
we
much.
are.
Last week we were having a conversation and we were talking about purpose, which we still are. And I said I was going to see if I could get you to come on because you have a lot of testimony of your purpose in life and how things have come together. And I wanted you to come on and talk about that this morning. But before you do, let me say good morning to a few people I see. I see Michelle Grice. I see Pastor Jackie, Alfreda. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, ladies and gent, because my nephew be on here. He just don't say something, nothing all the time. But I want to thank you so much for joining us. This conversation this morning is going to be one that is life changing. We want to encourage you, as these ladies have said, and we want you to begin to live the better part of your life. So, Alicia, if you could just begin to just talk to us. You know, I don't know where you're going to start. I was thinking the um, the Yes conference, but it goes way before that. And you have a lot of, I'm going to say, experience and walking in purpose. So if you could take a minute and just begin, not even a minute, just talk to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Purpose. I think for me, my purpose started to reveal itself when I started to let go of my worldly assignment. And a lot of times people miss their purpose. And by purpose, I guess by way of definition, in this conversation, in this context, we're speaking about your reason for being here on earth. Is that correct? Your reason why God sent you
Yes.
here to earth and why you are here.
Hmm.
For me, and you can always tell when you're not operating in your purpose because you have a lot of questions. You have a lot of um, you ask God a lot. Is this what I'm here for? Is this all life is? Is this it? To pay bills, to and so you can tell that you have not connected or you have disconnected from your purpose when you consistently feel like you're lacking, when you consistently feel like something is missing. So that was me for years. And I literally began to cry out, God, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my calling? And God was like, you journal. You journal. And we miss an opportunity many times to live powerfully because our purpose is not something that is easily dispersed in the world. When God gives you your purpose, you have to take the time with the purpose. You have to spend time with the Father. You have to spend enough time with heaven to solidify what that looks like in the earth's realm. Because as a child growing up, we're taught, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You don't have to decide to be anything when you grow up because you've already been sent here with your assignment. But the world
Mm.
has us believing that we can decide what we want to be when we grow up. That we can what's the thing, you if you put your mind to it, whatever it is, like if you
You
believe it,
can
you can
do it.
achieve it, and all of that. And so that that one idea alone pulls everyone who's put through that system and program away from their purpose and away from their assignment because you look like, for me, I journal. And so if I'm looking to the world's list, it's like doctor, lawyer, attorney, nurse, engineer. I don't see what that fits in here. So now I've got to put mine on the shelf and say, I'll get back to that later. And that's where a lot of people do not tap into their true reason for being here on earth until retirement. And this
Mm.
is where people start to pick up their passion projects and their hobbies and their, those things. And instead of doing it at the end of life, you should be focusing on incorporating it throughout your life. And that was what God began to deal with me on. And a lot of times we miss our purpose because we take it for granted. Your purpose is so uniquely entwined and intertwined with who you are that you negate it. Like, do you really think about yourself breathing every day? Do you think about just the basic things that you do? You just take those things for granted because you just naturally do them. And the same thing with your purpose. Your purpose is so locked into you that a lot of times you miss it simply because it's easy. And the world teaches us that no pain, no gain.
Right.
You gotta, because that's how I almost missed this work because I was having too much fun with it. It can't be fun. It can't be. How is that work? You laughing too much. That's what, when I first started this work, and I never forget, like Mike and I, he would hear me. He's like, how is this work? You just laughing? You just, and we would be on calls and we would be doing, I'm like, I love this. This is amazing. God, I can do this and live my life and be, and oh my gosh, show me more. And this is where a lot of, but the thing is that your purpose is your responsibility. And your
Mhm.
purpose has to be curated in a way that fits you like hand in glove. And this is why this work that we do in our 1212 community is constantly evolving, constantly changing, because I am the mold. I am creating this. So you, a lot of times people try to take their purpose and fit it into an already existing mold. But your purpose needs to be birthed. Your purpose needs to be nurtured. Your purpose needs to be massaged and manicured and pruned and all of those things. But people don't. That's why we have the SLE program, so that people can take their time. It takes time to find the rhythm, and that's what I talk about a lot, finding the rhythm of your own life, finding the rhythm of your assignment. And that is 9 times out of 10 going to be out of cadence with the world. So you have to have your ear and your everything so closely calibrated to your assignment so that the world doesn't throw you off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so one of the things when I hear you talk is that what you're saying is that before the foundation of the earth, we came here with it already in us, and it's a part of our lives. And like you said, we take it for granted because we don't realize that it's purpose, and we just, oh, it's just something I like to do. Oh, I just, and we kind of brush it off. And somebody says, oh, you need to do more of this. It's just something I do, you know. It, what, why, when, where, that type of thing. So um, the purpose is a part of us. Purpose is in us. But unless we recognize our purpose, a lot of people go around. Um, I, the story, I think no, I saw a story about a little boy that was tired of people's yards not being done and lawn people charging so much money. I think he's might be 11. He was between 8 and 11. So what he did, he got his mom's lawnmower. She didn't even know it. He began to cut people's grass and he began to shape up their yards. And the only reason why she saw it because somebody had him on Instagram showing him, and that's his purpose. We have, and one of the things that you talked about that's so important, and I'm going to stop talking so you can continue to talk, is that we have to mature in our purpose. And you talked about that. You come with a purpose, but unless you are in a place that you're maturing with that purpose and that you're developing, we have to develop within our purpose. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we don't realize that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And do not allow the world to rob you of the sacredness of your assignment.
that's good.
God began to teach me this many years ago. God gave me the name of my assignment through one of my journals, and that was in 2009. But from 2009, well, prior to that, but from that moment until like 2013, God was preparing me. People don't want to do the work that is behind the scenes and the work that heaven requires you to do a lot of work behind the scenes so that the world won't chew you up and spit you out. And what I mean by that is that when you are operating in God's purpose, see, this is the thing you got to understand. Man has a purpose. Man has a reason for you being here. Like, man has a reason for you being here to support the worldly agenda. And the worldly agenda is all about greed and lust. And this is like a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it's
It
just
is.
crazy. And so that is the world's agenda. So if you are attached to the world's agenda, then you know that your purpose for the world is to continue to advance that agenda.
Right.
God's assignment for your life is going to oppose that agenda. So you cannot straddle that fence. You have to be clear on what God has given you to do. But most times people lose that focus because I got bills to pay.
Right.
I got this to do. And so you have to make your election sure. And what I did, and this is why the 1212 community was created, because I had to do that work all by myself. And that's why it took so long for me to really solidify my allegiance to heaven. Because the world, when you have been such a good agent for the world is
Mm.
not going to let you go easy. The world has invested 20, 30, 40, 50 years in creating you to be the agent that the world needs you to be. The enemy is not going to let you go easily. And so this is why I promise God, if you show me how to do this, I'm going to help people, because this is some fraggle naggle bull. Because in the secret places, heaven is girding you up. Heaven is saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. But then, honey, you get out there in the world, and then the word, you like, what God said this morning? I don't even remember. I know I got bills to pay. I know this. I know that. God, I'll get back to you later. And so that throws us off. And so we go back and forth. So with that, my purpose, God was like, you have got to make your election sure and forget about what you think you see. Because the world is always doing its assignment.
Right.
The world is
Always completing its purpose.
Yes, the world is never off its game. This is
It's
why
like it's like New York. They say the lights never go out.
right. The world never sleeps.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, and I laugh because I hear myself in people. And I know
Mm.
that when people cross my path, as far as it relates to the 1212 community, as it relates to this work, I get excited when people cross my path, because I know something in your life is about to change. Because I know I've made my election sure. I know what God has sent me here to do. So I know what my
Mm.
purpose is. So if our paths have crossed, I'm like, ooh, get ready. But the key is that I have my part to do, you have your part to do, and God has God's part to do. I can't do your part. All I can do is share with you what God gives me to share, but you have to make your election sure. And the 1212 community is set up in such a way, because this is where I get questions like this all the time. Why 30 days? Why every day at 5 a.m.? Why do you have why is there, if you are in the community, it's something always going on. Something always happens. Well, it's a workshop here, something going on here, something there, something. Yes, because my assignment is to make sure that you have something that is comparable to the world's agenda. Oh, I can go over here and watch Netflix and do this, but I can go over here and do this workshop. I can go over here and do this, because the world is relentless. And my requirement from heaven is that I become as relentless as the world, so that you have options, so that you have an opportunity to see that your choice is powerful. The reason I bring all of that up It's because if I were doing that in my own strength, I would fail every time. I wouldn't have that consistency. I wouldn't have that wherewithal to keep going when I don't want to. Every day, every week, I'm like, God, really? I still got to do this. This is, I'm
Right.
human. I'm human. But the assignment, the purpose is not. The purpose is not human. The purpose is not tethered to the world. The purpose is tethered to heaven. And heaven gives you the strength. But in order to maintain that strength and the integrity of the assignment, you have to do the work in the secret places, because when you are solidified in your purpose, the world is going to look, the enemy is going to look for the cracks and crevices so that it can get in and dismantle it. So this is why heaven was like, before you put one foot into this world, you get your marriage straight. Before you put one foot into this world, get your finances straight. Before you
Order.
put one foot into the world, get all of your indiscretions straight. You be the first one to tell your story, because you do not want the world to dismantle it. I see it too many times. People are sitting in, like a sitting duck, looking like they're operating in their purpose, looking like they're doing the work that God is telling them to do. And they are, but it is not fortified, because they missed the steps where heaven required them to shore up all of the rocky parts of the foundation. Because the word, you can build up a ministry, you can build up, honey, I've been doing this for 45, 50 years. And then the enemy is like, yep, but remember when? Remember when? And then that one little thing that you did 55 years ago. And the enemy comes, it's like, now, oh, got me. But see, that's the thing that the enemy will not do with this work that we do in the 1212 community, because I'm the first one to tell my story. No one's going to be out here, well, she cheated on her. Yep, they know. And you know that her husband, yep, they know. And you know that she did, yep, they know. The enemy has no leg to stand on. Your purpose needs all of you, not just the parts that you want to show the world. Your
Right.
purpose needs everything from you.
That's good. That point right there. Your purpose needs everything. Those things that you might have been ashamed of, those things that you don't want any. There's some things that you don't tell,
Mm-hmm.
but on a whole, there's things that will help change someone else's life. And what the enemy loves the most is when we don't tell it. Like you said, you tell everything. And even though you tell us, I tell everything, you said there's some things I don't
I
tell you.
tell.
I
Let me
only
correct
tell
you.
you.
I tell everything that God requires me
Right.
to tell. Anything that heaven does not require me to tell doesn't mean that that is a part that the enemy can use against me. That just means that that's the part that heaven is holding sacred on my behalf. God was
Yeah.
like, you don't have to tell that part. Tell this part. You don't have to tell that part, because there's some parts that are part of my story that are near and dear to me, that God has only helped me through. It's nobody else's business. It's nobody else's responsibility but mine. But you have to be willing. If God said, now you got to tell that, I'm willing to tell it. I'm not holding on to anything so tightly that I can't release it.
So if you're not obedient
Yeah, that's
when
good.
he tells you
Mm-hmm.
to release it,
That's right.
then you give the enemy room to dismantle
Exactly.
what you set up. That's
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. Yep. Your allegiance is to God and God alone. The enemy can do no more than heaven allows the enemy to do, but the enemy know. People act like the enemy. This is why for most people their purpose is not fulfilled, because they have family issues, they have personal issues. And you have to understand that the enemy is after the family because the enemy was kicked out of the family. The enemy was like, man, this was my home. This was, and then the pride, all of that. God said, bye, you got to go. So the enemy loves family. The enemy wants to be a part of a family. But because the enemy was kicked out of, the way the story goes, the enemy was kicked out of heaven. His or her part of the family was dismantled. And now it's like with everything going on in the world, the enemy is simply just trying to reassemble some semblance of family. And so it's like, okay, I want these people to do this because they make me feel loved. The enemy wants love too. It's perverted, but the enemy just wants people to belong. The enemy just wants people to do what the enemy wants people to do. And this is why the enemy attacks your family. What the world teaches us, hurt people hurt people. Hurt spirits hurt spirits. The enemy is hurting. So the enemy wants you to hurt. So this is why, especially in the SLE, I'm like, before we even start working on anything, I'm like, how's your relationship with your husband? Are y'all doing good? Everything okay? Your family okay? I mean, families are going to family. Things are going to happen, okay? But you need to be together enough that you can weather every storm. But if you come to me and say, I ain't speaking to my husband, I'm like, go back. Don't even start this assignment. Go back and make peace with your husband. Well, me and my mama, we ain't too good. Go back. Go back and make peace with your mama. And this is not a good air quote marketing tactic as it relates to the world, because I'm losing out on a lot of business. Because it's like, well, you can't work with them because they're not going. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure that your purpose is fulfilled intact, not in part. If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking about how when I first came to the community and how you freed me a lot with a lot of things. You freed me a lot about being a helicopter mom. You know, I always got to say that. You freed me about, you know, because I was the type of person, if I made a mistake, my whole life was over. And you was like, I made a mistake. Oh, well, let's keep going. It'll be fixed, And I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Because if I made a mistake, that was my whole day, my whole week. It might have been my whole year on one mistake. So there are so many areas that you have helped develop me to get to this place. Because, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with social media. I don't have nothing to tell nobody. But at the same time, I was thinking about things that had happened in the past. And when we think about things that happened in the past where your past don't need you, we hinder the move of Elohim and what he has for our lives. So in the process of that, it causes us and it keeps us from going forth. There's along a number of other things, but I'm talking about me personally, how it has really, benefited me being a part of the 1212 community, changed the way I think about myself, changed the way I thought about my purpose. My purpose is not tied to, well, let me say this in the right order. The things I did in my past does not determine what my
The
purpose
things you
is.
did in your past, that's just seasoning. That's flavor. I wouldn't trade any. Some of my most embarrassing moments make for some of my best stories. People are like, you did what? You what? I'm like, look, that's where I was. Thank God for deliverance. Let's keep moving. It's like you never, ever, ever, never try to separate yourself from any aspect of your life because it all matters. I used to try to be like, say things like, um, that you like to try to qualify things or to make things sound, well, that used to be who I was. I
Fix it
did it
up.
up
Fix
real
it up.
good. Look, You saw, I saw this one thing one time, and it made so much sense. And I was like, yeah. In some people's story, I'm an angel. In some people's story, I'm a villain. I'm still me. Like when
Me
I
too.
tell the story about our marriage and things like that, to some people, like to the person that I was in relationship with, to that person's wife, I'm a villain. And I accept that because that was the role I was playing. Stop trying to um, change or mitigate the role that you played, because that's diminishing aspects of your personality that God needed to use to develop you. Me being the villain in that woman's story has helped me to be more compassionate to people who are going through that. Like, that really helped me to understand that I never want to be that person again. I never. So when I'm speaking to women who are in that role, I'm able to help them to see things from a higher perspective because I too was that person. But see, this is how you can
Right.
tell how deeply your purpose is rooted, because sometimes God makes you see both sides of the coin. I was the villain, and then I was the poor little damsel in distress too. So I saw both sides. I was the destroyer, and I was the one being destroyed. So when you know when your purpose is has some weight to it, you're gonna have to see that whole thing full circle. And it's
So, but can we stay right there for a minute? Because believe it or not, that's a very powerful statement. We do have both sides of a story, but that's what gives us the
yes,
balance. That's what causes us. We cannot be ashamed of the negative side. Yeah, it happened. We can say Moses, well, he killed somebody. We could say David, what he did. We could say different ones, but it did not neglect their purpose. They still fulfilled their
look at
purpose.
this now. The balance. You can always tell when you're operating in God's purpose because there is balance. You can tell when you're out of your purpose, when this is really not your purpose, because there's no balance. David killed, but then didn't one of David's babies die or something like that? Didn't he experience? So he experienced death. He experienced killing people, and then he experienced death personally. That's the balance. So when God inserts you, or when God requires you to do something, you can always, if you want to do a litmus test as to if this is God's purpose for my life, look for the balance. If it's out of balance, then you're not ready yet. If you've only been the victim, then you're not ready yet. If you've only seen one side of the coin, you're not ready yet. So for example, like my husband, like we know like he's on assignment now. Because see, up until this point, he had only seen one side of the coin. And that was health. He's like, get out here and you can ride 50 miles a day. Oh, da, da, da. And everything was so simple. He would get on my nerves. Like, oh, you gonna eat that Snickers bar and that fried chicken? I sure am. We gonna sit on this couch? I sure am. He'd be, let's,
Leave my
and
brother
he's
alone.
and
Leave my
he's
brother
riding and
alone.
he's doing all of this, but he only saw it from one side of the coin. So that was out of balance. That's how we know, like, you're not ready. You're not quite ready yet for this part. But now, honey, after this, and he's like, hey, I'm ready now because he's seen the balance. So he is more patient, more loving, more empathetic, more powerful. Because when you can see it from both sides, it makes you human.
Can I say this? I don't want to keep. Yeah, I do want to keep
Oh
stopping
yeah,
you.
sure.
I do want
This
to
show,
input,
oh,
but
lessons learned.
I remember years ago, I had a friend, and I was just running and talking. I don't know what I was talking about, and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Why are you always the villain?" Me? I'm not the villain. And I had to really sit in that thing. and begin to see, yeah, I'm always the one that gets the bad end of the stick.
The victim or the
And he
villain?
didn't.
I can't see. Why you always the victim?
Wait, it's not villain. I'm using the
Oh,
Vic-
I
wrong
was like,
word.
no,
But
if
he
you
was
get
Victim.
the bad end of the stick, you the
Yeah.
victim. The
You the
villain is
victim.
like,
Yeah.
victim. Victim.
If you the
I
villain,
was
you the
just
one
saying,
hitting
wait,
them with the stick.
I'm using the wrong way. I'm using the wrong word. Yeah, right. He was like, why are you always
right.
the
Mm-hmm.
victim? Why are you always the victim? And I was like, I'm not always the victim. And I had to really think about that thing because it was always woe is me. So that him saying that changed my life tremendously because then I had to begin to look at life from a different perspective. And I think that one of the things we have to understand is that we have to look at life from a different perspective. And when you look at life from a different perspective, you're not sitting on the side of the bed anymore and saying, is life worth living? I'm just going to check out. I don't want to live anymore. Because what happens is you begin to get, you're no longer looking negatively at your life. You begin to get glimpse of positive and you begin to shift from being negative to seeing some positive, which causes you to have life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
I love
That balance in that would be that I've been on the side where I've been depressed and not wanting to get out of the bed. I've been on the side where what am I here for? If it's not just for my children, yeah, I check out of here. But then you've been on the
Right.
side where you're like, wait a minute, hold up now. Let me pull myself up by the bootstraps. Let me get myself together. I got stuff to do. There are people counting on me. There are people waiting on me. And so you pull yourself up and you do what's necessary to get yourself together. You don't stay on the depressed side. You don't stay on the side where I just don't want to live life anymore. You realize that there is promise in life and there is something to live for and there are people that are waiting for me to do whatever it is I'm supposed to do. That's how you find the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Miss Alicia, she has both where there was issues in the marriage and we about to check out. We cutting up buttons and cutting up hats and all this stuff. And then we have the side. That's all I know, Miss Alicia.
I don't nobody can that, Alicia.
And then we have the side where when we've overcome and we're doing this the way God intended us for us to do marriage, that's balance. And now you can help somebody. But if I'm just on this side and I'm only talking about the hardship of what I've been through and not what I've come through, then we're not ready yet. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's the good part. I love the fact that you say do some self check first
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
before you try to walk in your purpose. Do some self check.
And
I
heaven,
love
heaven is, see, this is the thing. Heaven is not going to release you until you're ready, because heaven does not want you to damage or harm anyone else. The world says, "Go on out here and do it. Go on, do it." You
Yeah.
know, if the like if there isn't a bridge there, take the step and the bridge will appear and all that. God said, look, that's not me. When God was talking, God was like, that's not me. That's not me. You make sure you get all of your stuff. There is no benefit for me. Like when I first, and this was so powerful for me because God, when God starts to release you, God's going to release you gradually. So when God started to release me, God would release me incrementally to tell my story to people. And so I would tell my story, and then like by the end of it, I would cry a little bit. I was like, "You see, you still not ready yet." And then sometimes I tell my story some more. Then you still not ready yet. The first time I told my story and I laughed through it, God was like, "Now you ready." Now you're ready. Now you're ready. So you can see clearly. You can guide people powerfully. Because as long as I was crying and doing all of that, I'm going to see that scenario that this person is bringing to me through the pain. So I'm not going to be beneficial to them because I'm still dealing with my own hurt. So God, the first time I told that story, Michael's like, "You laughed through that?" I said, "That was so funny to me." God said, "Now you're ready. Now you're ready." And see, this is the part when heaven promotes you, when heaven moves you to that level, people are not going to understand you, but you do not have to be concerned with whether people understand you or not, because your purpose does not care. My purpose does not care if you like. That's why when I walk into a room, everybody loves Alicia Johnson. You just don't know it yet, okay? Whether you do or not is not my concern, because I have work to do. And people will be like, I got the text messages, the emails, all of that to prove it. People do not always receive the message that I bring lovingly. But I bring it in love. I'm not concerned about you liking me. And your purpose, once you are solidified in it, you are healed enough to break people. You are healed enough to break. I don't worry. I don't worry anymore. People be like, that hurt my feelings. I can't believe you said that. I didn't. I'm only saying what I'm hearing God tell me to say. How you receive that, I wasn't there. I'm only saying what God is telling me to say. I didn't offend you. The scenario that you were in offended you. I'm just helping you to see things from a higher perspective. Take it and do with it what you will. Not my responsibility. My responsibility is to do the work that God has given me to do. And I share this story. I've shared it a lot of times. The attorney, I was actually working for him, and God had me to go and share with him a message that God gave me. And I told him point blank, I said, God said that you need to separate yourself from this one attorney. Like literally, you need to separate yourself. And you have to understand that in this firm, this one attorney was like the head attorney. So that's something huge to tell someone when they are looking for this person's recommendations and all of these things. So in the world, that's a no-no. Like, okay. And then, but the funny thing is that God had been telling him the same thing. And he said, when did God tell you this? I said, oh, about 2 weeks ago. He said, oh my gosh, that was the same time God started speaking. I said, okay, good. So we got the same message. So we ain't got no questions here, right? I said, my work is done. I went back to my desk, did what I need to do. This was, say, in May. It was right before, what's the first holiday? Memorial Day? Memorial.
Yeah,
So
in
one
May.
of the messages that I gave him was that he needed to separate himself. The second message that I gave him was that I took him this flyer that said he needed to get his bike blessed. He was a motorcycle rider. He had a Ducati, sexy bike. It's real hot. I don't know if you've seen Ducati. I'm not a bike person, but when I saw him, and then he was a handsome guy anyway. I saw him on that bike with. I said, "Oh my God, that's a bike." So anyway, I took him the flyer and I said, "You need to get your bike blessed." And he said, "Yeah, bring it to me. I'll do it." This was May. September is Labor Day. And that weekend, he was at my desk on Thursday. And Monday, I think, was going to be the holiday or something like that. He was at my desk on Thursday. And, I said, well, have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow. He said, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And he was doing something. He said, I may be a little late or whatever. So, and his schedule was off, so I couldn't really pinpoint the time, but we hadn't heard from him, and it was about 2:00. And they called us and made an announcement and wanted us all to come to a conference room. And they said, we're sorry to inform you, but this attorney was killed in a motorcycle accident today. I lost it because the message that God gave me to give to him. This is why I'm very adamant about this, doing what God tells me to do. Because if I had that on my conscience, I would have just lost my mind. Because I would have been thinking, if I had just given him that message, he may still be here. But see, heaven gives you those instructions just so you can see the inner workings of heaven, and we all have free will. So just because you give somebody a message doesn't mean that they have to adhere to it. I have free will, they have free will, but when you understand you're working under God's economy, your free will ain't so free. because there's a heavy
Mm.
consequence to pay if you choose not to. So I always choose to just do what God tells me to do because I can't live like that. He died instantly, head injury, just boom, out. I was like, oh my gosh. See, I didn't know this part. The bike that he was riding, the attorney that he was supposed to separate himself from sold it to him. That's what God was saying. Separate yourself from everything that has to do with this attorney. Everything, even the bike. My lesson was learned from that day to this one. Whatever God tells me to say, I say it. Whatever God tells me to do, I do it. Because Alicia Johnson does not have it within me to carry that burden. So whether you appreciate the message or not, I don't care. Because it could save your life. I don't know. But I'm not going to have that on my conscience. So your purpose is going to require all of you. And most people only want to
That's,
extract the fun part of their purpose, the part that makes money. The money comes last. The
mm,
money comes last. Your purpose, if it is a godly purpose, the money is encoded in the process, but it's going to come last. I am so entrenched in this assignment that the money for me is just a bonus. It's just gravy. It's just like I got to meet these people, I got to form these relationships, I got to do this, I got to do that. The money is insignificant. The world wants the money. I want everything else that God has.
that's good.
So good.
Um, per-
So good.
yeah, you wanted to say something.
It's just showing me from that story, like we said last week, how imperative it is that you are walking in your purpose. People's lives are depending on you when you are walking in your God assigned purpose. And because people's lives are depending on it. And so we don't have time. Do the work. We have to do the work so that whoever we're supposed to reach, we can reach them.
Yeah.
And we got to get out of our own head, our own
Yeah,
issues, because a lot of us are not walking in that purpose because we haven't done the work on us. We're counting ourselves out. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to do this? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't speak well. I don't have what it takes to do it. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do? How about you just say yes? Just say yes and allow him to do the work in you, and then he'll take you the rest of the way. And heck, if you don't know how to do it, get with Alicia. She'll help you. Even if you are in, which I'm going to probably have to get an appointment, even if you are in your purpose and you need guidance in how to walk this thing out, then that's when you bring somebody alongside of you to help assist you. God has people, Elohim has people in the earth to help you with your purpose. You think he would just leave you just out there and say, figure it out? No, he's going to talk, and then he has people that are there to help guide you along the way. But you'll never get to those people if you are stuck in your own head about what, why, how, and when.
yeah, yeah.
Amen. And one of the things for me, it's like I guess a blessing and a curse. This is funny because the world wants you to be. This is how perverted the world is so secure in this game right now. The world tells you what it's doing. People are influencers. The world is telling you we got people out here to influence you to do things that you don't even want to do. They telling you I'm an influencer. I'm an influencer. They have all of the masks have come off, and we are. I was like, oh, I said the enemy is something else. It's like enemy's like I don't even have to hide no more. I'm just out here. I'm doing whatever. And see, the world wants you to be so inundated with worldly, how can I put it? trappings that you miss the opportunity because people like, I never forget this. I don't even know. I don't even keep up with like people who are following and all of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know these people. Be like, you got 10,000 followers. You and God was like, one at a time. One at a time, because when heaven allows
Mm.
people to cross my path, and this, like I said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse because I get excited. I get excited. Like when God allows people to cross my path, God shows me who they are. Like it's like a snapshot. Like God shows me exactly who this person is and who their potential, like who they can be, who I have created them to be. I get excited. But the problem is that God said your responsibility is not to tell them, it's to show them, like to help them to build it. Because I want to just sit down and say, this is God showed me this, and this is who God said. No, your responsibility is to help them to walk it out. And the most disheartening part for me, and this is why I consistently say, don't give up. If you don't quit, heaven won't quit. And I see so many people, and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing so good. Thank you, God. Oh my goodness, thank you. Let's see. I think I can say this person's name because they're Phyllis. Phyllis. Phyllis tells her
Yes.
own stories. I don't have any problem telling this story. Phyllis
Right.
is one of those people. When Phyllis crossed my path and God showed me like who she is and what, and I was like, oh my God. I said, God, you have me cross paths. I just love it when God just allows me to cross paths with people. And then Phyllis started acting up. I said, oh my God, oh my God, God, please don't let us stop. Please don't let us stop. Please don't. And Phyllis, you should have Phyllis on here one day. I said, please don't let Phyllis stop. Please don't. And Phyllis got so close to stopping. And Phyllis was right on the cusp of the change that she was seeking. And she can tell this story. We watched it now. I'm so grateful for Phyllis because she allowed us to watch this process. Phyllis was teetering on. She's like, I'm out of here. I ain't doing this. No, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm like, Lord have mercy. God, she's so close. She's so close. She's so close. And now you hear Phyllis, oh, my house, my this, my this.
I'm so glad I
That's
didn't
how so many people are. They're on the cusps of the change that they're looking for.
leave.
And
It's
they
right there.
say, nope, it's not working. I'm just going to go back. Phyllis is like one of the premier examples of what that looks like. So the world wants you
Yes.
to give up. The world wants you to keep spinning on that hamster wheel. But once you deal with it, you don't ever have to revisit that again. Now you can move on and deal with higher aspects of your life. So this is why this work that we do, I get so excited, but I say all of that to say, when you're operating in your purpose, you don't need 10 million people. You don't need 10,000 people. 10,000 people crossing my path and God is showing me who they are. Honey, that would drive me crazy. I'm just one at a time. 10,000 Phyllises, oh my God, that would have, oh my Lord. 10,000 Leslie Montgomerys, that, okay, Wanda, let's
No, it's
pretend
right.
Leslie ain't here right now. Let me tell you. I said, Leslie, you need to share your wisdom with people. I'm not. It took a minute to get her to even agree to
A
do that.
year.
Okay? Then when she
A
agreed, this
year.
is what she said, Wanda. Well, I'm gonna do it once a month. I said, once a month. I said, Lord, this your child, please. And now look, Leslie, I have to get invited back to this. She's like, well, this. I be like, oh,
Oh, you never had to be
you need to,
invited.
your purpose elevates you and connects you with heaven. But then I'm still human. Alicia Johnson, I'll never forget. One day I was in my bed. I said, no, she did. Oh my. Oh, I said, Mike, I done got kicked out. I was in my feelings for a minute. I was laughing. You know how people, you know how little kids are. You say they can't have something and you give it to them, and then they take it back, and then you take it back. Then they wonder. But I said, I don't even know. I'm like, I don't even know how I feel about this right now. I have my friends on from the UK, and I have this, and I said, oh my, I said, Mike, I don't even have no people on. I don't even have no people on from the UK. I don't even think I know no people in the U. I said, look at, I said, Leslie showing out. See, Wanda, that's what I'm talking about. See, if people like this, if I had 10,000 Leslies crossing my path, I would be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because it took a minute to get. And now look at her. Look at her. Look at her. I love it. I love it. Okay,
And
Leslie,
she
you can go
still
back.
talk about she ain't got nothing to say, Miss Alicia. She ain't got
I
nothing.
want to feel my pain. Feel. You see where I'm going with this. Feel my pain. It's something. It's something. But it's all right.
I want look, I wanted to
I
invite you
know.
back. I
See,
don't
that's
know
what
now.
happened. She got a little power now. She be like, I don't even take her off the roster. She just off.
Now, see, I was just supposed to be filling in
Uh,
until you could come back.
See the power. See the power that she reels you in, Wanda. She reels you in. She reels you in. She be acting like, oh, it's so. She a
But see,
powerful. Huh?
that's amazing though, because that's the example of what you do, walking in your purpose, helping to, I don't want to say push, but because you kind of had to kick Miss Leslie into
Take a shaker, girl,
listen,
shaker. Oh,
shake her, kick her, drop her off the cliff, fly, Leslie, just fly, you know. And sometimes she be flying with one wing, talking about I don't know. But that's what you do. You're walking in your purpose to help push other people into their purpose. Now we have Leslie's lessons learned, which
and look,
has been literally changing lives every Sunday.
you gotta have.
Every
Thank you. Thank you,
Look,
Pastor
you gotta
Jackie.
have
Thank
Phyllis
you.
on here. You gotta have Trina on here getting after her beautiful. Look, Trina talking about she planning her beautiful encounter for 2025. I'm like, oh my, here we.
Look,
And her mom,
her and her mama.
I said, look at this. Look, I hope I'm invited back again. Look, I just be sitting back. I hope they invite me. I'm so excited.
She's so silly. But we are at the top of the hour. We can go on, but I did want to ask you and Mike to come back on and share your portion together of that purpose, because some of it you really can't tell without them, because it's
Mhm.
both of you that has experienced it. But I just want to say purpose is a noun, the reason for which someone is done or created, of which something exists. And then I like this because it says the reason which someone
Mm,
exists.
that's beautiful.
We exist because we have a purpose. And I don't care who you are. And just because you're not in the front of the stage, you're not doing what you feel you should do so people can see you, whatever that's inside of you, unless you connect with that, we can never connect with you. So I want you to begin to just really understand that each and every one of us has a purpose. And what you do with it, as Tabitha Brown said, that's your business. If you do, but we desire, because we need you and we need what's inside of you. We want you to know that you're beautiful, that you've been created for such a time as this to do what you've been called to do. And like Alicia said, don't look at the money part. Embrace your purpose and the money will come. So hopefully, Alicia, you can look at your calendar, and next week you and Mike could come on um, and together and talk
We'll be
about
back.
it.
We'll be
Now,
back.
I want everybody to get to come back. I want everybody to know that anytime Alicia wants to come on, she's welcome. I ain't holding her back. She's just so busy. She got so much going on that she got to check her schedule now. But we love you. We appreciate you. And there was so many valuable points that you brought out. And we as a people need to understand that we're more than just a name. You know, we have a name. We were born with a name. But the only thing that name does is enhance what's inside of you. It's a part of your purpose. It's a part of who you are. So be encouraged and know that next week we'll be back. Hopefully, Alicia and Mike will be here with us and we'll continue this conversation. This is a rich conversation. And remember, the reason for which someone exists is because they have a purpose. You have a purpose. Your children have a purpose. Before you brought them into this world, the purpose was already in them. Don't stagnate them, or don't try to stuff or stop what's in them. Develop it. Help them to create what's in them so that they can be the best that they can be for what they have to do. So until we meet again, know that we love you. I don't know, Alicia, do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope, I just go live on purpose. I love it. I'll see y'all next week. I'll be here next week. I think Mr. Mr.
You
Johnson may
check your
be here next
schedule.
week. I don't know. He's still married. Talk to him. He'll
I'll
look for the
talk to
last.
him. I'll talk to him.
Especially if you get people to do stuff. He'll be looking. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Then next Sunday he'll be sitting right here next to me. I ain't gonna do that. We heal, but we still human. We still.
Right. And that's the wonderful part. You're not ashamed to say we're still human. You're not getting on here trying to make like you got it all together and everything is just perfect now. And that's what people need to see, that even though you have a purpose, you still have to live out life. And the way that you live out life determines on what choices you make. As you said, you got a free will, but we want you to will to do the right thing. So, Wanda, you have any last words?
Just like Alicia said, your purpose is your responsibility. So work it out.
How about that? So we're gonna start watching and seeing those and see if they're going in the right direction, doing their purpose. And one person I know that is already started and in the right direction is Pastor Jackie. Even though she says she don't know, she is already building her purpose and going forth in it. And not just her, all of you are, but I just wanted to throw that out there, Pastor Jackie. So till we see you again and we meet you again, I want to say thank you for being here. So glad you was here, and I hope that you take the valuable information and use it correctly. In a couple of weeks, we have uh, Apostle Walker coming on. That's the second week in July, and she's going to be talking about the I am that's within us. So we look forward to that, and as I said, have an amazing day. Finish out your day on purpose, not on the negative, but on the positive. Love you guys.